Hello guys, and we have destroyed their friendship. Friendship in Russian is Druzhba, and that was an ironic name for a pipeline that the Kremlin for decades used as an instrument of political pressure and manipulation. A lot of smart countries stopped buying Russian oil after the start of the full-scale invasion. And not because of their solidarity with Ukraine, but also understanding that Russia's natural resources, oil and gas, were always weapons against the security and stability of your societies. The only countries that continued buying Russian oil via Druzhba pipeline were Hungary and Slovakia, that traditionally side with Russia. And here I don't speak about the people of these beautiful countries, but about Orban and Fico. And now Orban and Fico are very disappointed. But this strike that resulted in the total collapse of the Druzhba pipeline is super important, not just from this economical perspective, but also as a perfect way to prevent any trainings in Belarus or any potential invasion from the north, because Russia used this pipeline also for Belarus. So let's discuss this really beautiful, powerful operation conducted by the Ukrainian drones, and what makes it even more interesting, the commander of the Ukrainian drone forces is Hungarian by origin. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the defeat and demilitarization of Russia, subscribe, that's the only working peace plan, and please share these videos, we need to spread the truth. So let's start with another huge explosion that led to the collapse of the Druzhba pipeline, and it happened on the 18th of August in Tambov region. The operation was planned. Actually, there were a series of attacks on Druzhba pipeline. There were dozens, perhaps. The most recent one happened in Bryansk region. Their hub Unecha was targeted, and literally now this whole skeleton with hubs or necessary for the pumping of oil is destroyed. That is a devastating fact for Russia that already experiences serious shortages of oil products, of gasoline. They had to ban export. The production dropped, and now they don't have enough oil products even for their population, not mentioning the army. And those of you who are aware of tanks, armored vehicles, aircraft, and all the military stuff people use, all of that consumes tremendous amounts of oil products. So by paralyzing Druzhba pipeline, we paralyze a very big part of Russian units that are never good for Ukraine. What makes the whole situation interesting, the commander of the Ukrainian drone forces, and now inside the Ukrainian army we have separate drone forces, because that is the war of the 21st century, and only Ukraine out of free democratic countries has this experience, which is another reminder NATO needs Ukraine, and I'm sure everybody but Trump understand that. So with these forces, we are able to achieve a lot. And what makes the whole situation interesting, recently, friends of the Kremlin in Hungary, Szijjártó and Orban, they were super dissatisfied with these attacks because they were among the only ones still buying Russian oil, still dependent on Russian money. That is actually like cheap oil, gas prices was the only thing they could offer their voters, because the corruption is really high. The success of these countries is negative, as Russians speak often in this, like propaganda language. So the only thing they used to speak in their addresses, this oil prices. And they were devastated knowing that they won't be able to get this oil anymore. Even though the European Union, Ukraine, everyone warned them. And this war lasts for 3.5 years. We gave all of our partners enough time to substitute Russian products with other products from more trustworthy countries. And once again, it's good for your countries too, not just for Ukraine, because the Kremlin always uses it, for example, to keep Orban at power. And what makes it more interesting and what demonstrates that we need to separate, the government from the people. The commander of these drone forces is Hungarian by origin. He actually has this call sign Magyar, which can be translated as Hungarian, and he is Robert Brovdi. You may even recognize this does not sound Ukrainian, and a lot of good people from different cultures, from different origins, though he lives in Ukraine, he is Ukrainian, but I mean with different cultural heritage, fight together with us against this authoritarian evil. Subscribe to demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine and all the good people from different corners of the world fighting together with us. Share these videos. That's the easiest way to demonstrate your solidarity, but it is super effective, and I'm very grateful for every reaction that we receive. So in 2024, Ukraine attacked more than 80 Russian oil refineries and facilities. In 2025, the number of them is larger and the results are more visible, like the ban on export of gasoline, and for Russia, that is a very difficult decision. Also, the fact that more and more of their population unable to buy fuel, something that they need, understand that Putin is a total failure and maybe there is no Russian greatness at all. And this stopped transit, anything did not save them. And now they won't be able to, use the pipeline in general. So Hungary and Slovakia won't be able to buy this oil and pay Russia, thus funding Russian war machine. And what is more important, that pipeline was used and connected everything with Mozyr oil refinery located in Belarus, and they were consuming a lot of oil and producing a lot of oil there because of these trainings that many of you have heard. Let me know in the comments below, would you like a separate video? But in September, lots of Russian troops and lots of Belarus troops are supposed to train in the north of Ukraine. And different political and military experts have different predictions. Some say they can attack Ukraine in the north, but in the northeast. Others say they can actually attack regions like mine, because Volhynia region borders Belarus. Some say they can actually go in the direction of the Baltics and test NATO, especially with Trump's chaotic behavior. It may be this is just a training, because to tell you the truth, the number of Russian troops arriving there is not frightening. But it's better to be prepared. It's better to prevent any problems from happening. And by targeting this pipeline, we actually cause serious problems to the reserves of oil products that they have. And these days, we also targeted a lot of cargo trains carrying oil products and a lot of depots, oil depots on the temporarily occupied Zaporizhia region in the south of Ukraine. So we literally burn all of the Russian oil products that they can otherwise use to fuel their military machine, both directly and literally and hypothetically. And this is the best way to secure this autumn, because I'm sure after watching these conversations with Trump, and once again, I'm super grateful for all the allies of Ukraine who traveled to the White House with President Zelensky, I think it's pretty obvious that Putin does not want peace and Ukraine has no reasons to surrender. Now we are way stronger and Russia is much weaker and more dependent on its evil partners like China. And that is a difficult decision that Putin may need to make. You know that after the severe destructions of different pumping hubs, I mean, all this Druzhba pipeline, they need to repair a lot of parts. They need to repair a lot of oil pumping stations. And they were constructed not from Russian parts, but from European. And with sanctions that are working, they cannot repair them. And they have two choices: either to reconstruct everything and start buying parts from China. And that's something that Putin didn't want, because this makes him a total serf of Xi. But personally, I believe he already is. And the second option is to cannibalize, and they love it with aviation, with their airflop that is totally devastated. It's not just a no-fly zone, modern Russia, but also severe problems with their cannibalized aircraft. So they may repeat a similar strategy, a winning strategy with their pipeline, but this will lead to a lot more parts of it closed in the future, and we are talking about months and years. So while Trump was talking with Putin over the phone, while European leaders together with Zelensky were thinking about the necessary security guarantees, not just for us, but for the world, and talking about the things that are, super important if we want to negotiate, because personally, I believe any negotiations are possible after the collapse of the Kremlin regime. But anyway, while they were talking about all that, we were implementing the real peace plan, destroying that Druzhba pipeline, destroying Russian energy infrastructure. And when Trump says that you cannot defeat a country 10 times larger than you, well, I don't mind if all of that Russian Federation collapses. And we have a good video on my new channel, Anna Danilchuk. I connected here. Do subscribe to that channel too, which explains that the process of the dissolution of the Russian Federation has already started, and it is inevitable. It does not depend on whether Trump sides with Ukraine or with Russia. It has already started. And to tell you the truth, more and more people around the world realize that. And I need to thank people in the US, people in Australia, people in South Africa and Brazil, and of course people around Ukraine who protect us with their confidence that Russia must be defeated, that Putin cannot be appeased, and who stand with us together. We have a beautiful new summer drop of t-shirts that may help you work as our ambassadors, because not only they are super stylish, but they also remind the world about Ukraine and may help you start some important conversations. Check the link in the description of this video, same as the link to my social media platforms on Instagram, X, Blue Sky, Threads, and Discord. Please remember, I never invite you to chat on WhatsApp or Telegram, because I receive more messages like that. I never ask you for money or anything else. These are scammers. Our beautiful team, our amazing troll hunters and moderators, block them, report them, but sometimes they may be a little bit faster than we are. So whenever someone pretends to be me and addresses you directly in comments with requests or invitations to WhatsApp or Telegram, that is not me. Report and protect our community. We need to remain strong and decisive both in this YouTube world and also in our real world. And I'm very grateful that I have you as friends and family. This is an honor. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel, and united we stand. Slava Ukraini!